Hello my YouTube friends, welcome back to the Yorkshire Bike Mechanic YouTube channel. My name's Dave K. I hope you're having a good week and we've got some bloody sun. Amazing. Right, on with the video. Today we're going to be looking at drivetrains. Now this video is probably going to be one for the newbies. So the decisions that we need to take in terms of your drivetrain, particularly if it's not actually running right, is what do we change and why do we change it? Okay, so those are the things that we're going to cover off today. Now we get some people say, well, we need a new chain. Well, yeah, you might need a new chain, but you also might need a new cassette as well. And these are the things that we're going to talk about. What are the factors that decide what we're going to change and why we're going to change it? So I hope that makes sense. So let's crack on. So this is the bike that we're going to be working on today. It's an orange Alpine 6, a lovely bike, great at coming down, quite tricky to pedal on an uphill unless you're reasonably fit, but a good all-rounder. Really nice bike. So this particular bike has Eagle GX on as a drivetrain. Now obviously the people that know about Eagle is that it's 12 speed, okay. We've got a 32 chainring on the front and obviously an Eagle chain, okay? So, the customer's saying that it's not particularly shifting right. It's ghost shifting, it's going up and down, it can't decide what's going on. So, he seems to say that he seems to think that we need a new chain. But I'm going to show you why that's true, but also we need more than a new chain, particularly on this bike. So the first thing that we need is a chain checking tool. So let me grab that. So this little bad boy is one of the best things you could buy for your bike. E-bike, mountain bike, road bike. This is the best thing that you can buy, and it's cheap as chips, but it will save you hundreds of pounds in the long run, okay? So what this basically does is it's got 2 points. Okay, and this little slider moves backwards and forwards, and it's got some numbers on. It's quite difficult to see because we use it quite a lot. But the maximum that it goes up to is 1.0, okay? And the lowest is actually 0. So when you put this on a new chain, you drop it in the links there, okay? And when you put this on a new chain, it should measure 0. Or there and thereabouts, okay? So you slide it in, and when you drop that into your chain, there should be no movement backwards and forwards if it's 0, okay? So the idea of any chain is you change your chain before it gets to 0.75. Now on an e-bike, you might want to change it at 0.50. It's probably better, to be honest. But ordinarily speaking, you should be able to change your chain 2 or 3 times on your bike without having to replace the chainring at the front or the cassette at the back. That's the idea, and you'll achieve that providing that you change your chain before it gets to 0.5, 0.5 or 0.075, okay? Ideally 0.05. Okay, so this particular one, what we're going to do is we're going to establish whether this chain needs changing or whether we might want to change a little bit more than that. Okay, so we've dropped it in there. Let's go up to 0.5, okay? So we're on 0.5 on the gauge and we've still got movement backwards and forwards. So that's telling us that this chain has stretched. Let's move it up to 0.75, 1 millimeter. So this is as far as that actually goes. It won't go any further, and we've still, okay, got movement there. Now that tells us that by swapping this chain alone, it will not run right on your front chainring or your cassette. And the reason being is that as this chain wears, it wears to a certain shape, the same shape as the teeth on your cassette and the same shape as the teeth on your chainring at the front. So if we take this chain off and put a new one on but don't change anything else, this won't mesh with the front of the rear cassette, because it'll be a completely different shape. And as soon as you put power down, this chain is just going to start skipping and jumping and pulling over the cogs, particularly the lower ones, okay? And also, if it's really, really warm, which was this one is, you could find that when you put power on the pedal, it'll jump over the front as well. It'll pull over the front. So the measurement now tells us, because it's over 1 millimetre, and there's more as well, so it's over 1 millimetre and another one, then we're going to have to change the cassette and the front ring, okay? That's how we decide what we're going to change and why we're going to change it. If this chain were at 0.50, then we'll probably just change the chain alone and it'll be fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to change all three. But let's look at the teeth on the front chain ring. Let's get the camera up close. Okay, so now I'm hoping that you can actually see these teeth here, okay? I'll get a new one. If we put a new one up against these teeth, this existing one, you can see how different they are, okay? So if you compare that with that one, can you see how this has got a hook going over the top? But the actual hook is gone on that one, okay? So we can tell also by comparing the two that obviously there's a massive difference, and that's just as worn as your chain is on your cassette as well. So your chain checking tool tells us how worn your front ring is and how worn your back cassette is. Now that is providing that all these were changed at the same time before, okay? Now if you've put a new chain on about 3 or 4 weeks before and it's slipping and carrying on, then that's probably the reason why it's slipping and jumping. So let's change it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put it in maintenance mode. We're going to drop this derailleur down, pull the pin in and put it on maintenance mode, and we'll look for the split link or the missing link. This has actually got 2 in it, so you can tell it's snapped before. This is a good tool. If you ever want to split your links or take the missing link out, this is a great tool. So all we basically do is just pop it in there. That's it. And then this chain can go straight in the bin. So the first thing that we'll do is let's change the chain ring on here. But I've also noticed, while I've been messing about with this, I've noticed there's a little bit of movement in there as well. I don't know whether you can see that. Let me try and get it to focus in on there. Okay, I don't know whether you can see that. Can you see that? Look at the state on that. That other bearing, that left-hand bearing, were absolutely goosed. Okay, the one on the right's not much better either. So that definitely needs a new bottom bracket. It's a GXP bottom bracket. We know that because this end is slightly different. Okay, the bearing on this side is actually smaller than the one on the right, and it's a Sram GXP bottom bracket, a team. So we just need to take this out. Let me get my spanners. Okay, you go down to loosen it. And if you notice when you're taking your old one off, watch out for spacers behind, okay? Because you'll need to put it back exactly the same bin. Okay, get this one off the same. That's that out. Bin. Right, and we'll just give it a bit of a clean out here. You can see there's quite a bit of muck inside there. So we'll clean them threads out. Rag it open, get it open. That's it. Now these come with spacers just in case you need them. But if you remember, we spoke about it, when we took it out, we noted whether there were any spacers behind it, and there wasn't. So because there wasn't, we shall put this one back in exactly as it came out. Okay, now as you can see, we know it's GXP because obviously we said that this end is actually smaller diameter than this one, okay? So the smaller diameter always goes on the left hand side. Okay, so we'll take the right hand one first. Put a decent amount of grease on there. Okay. And we'll just find where the threads are, that's it, and then screw it back in. Bit of grease. Okay, find where the threads are and then bob that back in. Now just be careful that washer comes off, so don't lose it. Okay, get a spanners. Now if you want to torque these up, you can do. I generally don't, not on these, because I've been doing it far too long and I know how tight to put them. So the next thing we're going to do is, let's change this chainring on this crankset. Okay, the washer on the right hand side is still there, so we need to get that off. Give it a clean. And these are a Torx 25. You can actually see them there, look. Okay. So let's get that washer off. Okay, so I've changed the chainring over. I've cleaned all the axle, put loads of grease on it, and now we're going to pop it back. Here we are. Don't forget the washer on the other side. It only goes on one way. You can see which way it goes on, where all the grease is. That goes up to the bottom bracket on the other side, up to the bearing. Okay, and then we can just bob the other crank arm back on. A little bit of grease. Tekker's 8mm Allen key. And then I'm doing it awkwardly for the camera. Should be the other side really. Okay. So you need to torque it up 12 to 15 Newton meters. That's what you need to torque it up to. Just torque that up till it clicks. That's it. Job's a good one. Okay, so if it's a Hope hub, then you'll need to take this end adapter off first. Otherwise you're not going to get the tool in to get the cassette off. And we'll use a chain whip to hold the cassette in the same place. Okay. And then you can actually use your arm against the chain whip, okay, and press it in and just go left. Okay, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Okay, this is an XG cassette, so it's specifically designed for an XG driver on the free hub body. Now Sram make an Eagle PG cassette which fits on a Shimano body, but this Eagle is XG, which means that you need an XD driver like that one on there. Okay, we'll just give it a bit of a wipe. We're not going to take the free hub to pieces. We're not going to service the bearings on this one. We're just here to do this video to change the drivetrain. Get the nice shiny cassette out of the box. These come pre-greased inside. So you drop it on, keep it to the left and then right, and then you drop it onto the notches. You'll feel it when it drops in. And then righty tighty. Now these are self-tightening to a degree, so you don't need to swing on them to tighten them up. Just tighten them up till you feel as though it's starting to bite. That's it. because the chain will tighten it for you. Okay, there's plenty of grease on that already, so bob that back in there. That's that done. So the last thing that we need to do on this is put a new chain on. Okay, we've got us chain in his box here. So we've put us front ring on, we've put us cassette on, we're going to change the chain, and we've put a new bottom bracket on. So let's take this out of the box. Now, I get asked this all the time. How do you know where to cut your new chain on your bike? And a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll get the old chain and they'll lay the new chain next to it, and they'll measure off that and then cut the new one. But that's not how to do it. Because if you remember, your old chain stretched, okay, and you don't want this new one to be the same length. So take the links out, take the missing links out and put them safe. Now these Eagle chains only go one way, okay? They have to go on the right way, and they go on with the writing facing you. So you'll see it says Eagle and Sram and Eagle and Sram, and it'll carry on like that. So it's important that that is on the right way, okay? So you drop it over your front chain ring, and then you drop the other end over the top of your cassette. Use the cassette to spin it down to the derailleur through, okay, and then you just leave round about that much length at the bottom, okay, and then do the same at the top. Okay, now the chain will only go on your front ring one way, because it's a thick and a thin teeth. So you can see that it'll only sit on there one particular way. So what we've got is we've got us two ends. Okay, so this is how you cut a chain to your bike. Okay, so we'll pop this derailleur back out of maintenance mode. Okay, and we take us chain. Okay, and we put it side by side, right, and the chain is on the smallest cog at the back. So what we need to do is we need this chain to be able just to take the tension out of that derailleur. Okay, that's all we need it to do. Okay, and we need to make it as long as we possibly can, but just taking the tension out of the derailleur. So what I'll do is I'll keep hold of this tight and I'll pull it until it meets the next available chain link, which is that one there. I don't know whether you can see that. It's hard to actually show you. If I go on to that one, it's too long, and we won't be getting any tension off the derailleur. So we need to go to the next one, which is there, okay? Which is that one. So I'll get my cutter, cut the chain. Okay, and then this particular chain link, this link here, this missing link, only goes on one way. If you can see, it's actually shaped. Okay, it's got like a banana shape. That shape needs to go the same shape as your cassette. Okay, so the bend needs to be up, the hollow bend I mean. Okay, so if we put that in one way, put in that in the other side, put the derailleur back into maintenance mode, because it's easier to put the chain together. Click that into place. Okay, and you won't get it fully home. Okay, you just click that into place until it's kind of solid. Take the derailleur back out of the maintenance mode, and you carefully wind it round until the missing link you've just put in just comes to the top. Get hold of your crank arm, get hold of your back wheel and snap it. like that, and then your chain link is back in its right place. Okay, and that is how you put a new chain, a new cassette and a new front ring on your bike. Now we could go into a different video here about how to set up this back end, but I won't do that today. We'll do it another day. I think you might find there's already a video there of how to set up an Eagle drivetrain. But essentially that's it. I hope you found it useful, that. It's always a good thing to know how to do that, because you will probably, over the lifetime of the bike, you'll probably do it many times. So follow that procedure and you won't go far wrong. Don't forget how to cut your chain. Remember, do it on your bike. Don't measure off the old chain because it's stretched. And buy yourself a chain checking tool. They're brilliant little things. They don't cost much, but they will save you hundreds in the long run. Thanks for watching. Toodle pip.